So this is the full moon forecast with a full moon in Aquarius that's happening on August 31st. It'll happen, August 31st is a Friday morning, around 6:48 Pacific time. I say around 6:48, yeah. 6:30 to 7 a.m. Pacific time is the culmination of the Purnima, the full moon. You see the sun is at 1431 of Leo, which is Purva Falguni Nakshatra, and the moon at 1426 Shatabhishaka Nakshatra. Couple things to know, as I always say, the full moon is the middle point of the sun cycle. So we're in the Leo cycle right now. Leo, very much about our own power, our own individual power, our own and the glory that comes from living empowered. Think about that for a minute. Think of this. Think of if you knew failure was not an option. Think about if you knew that it was impossible for you to fail, that the greatest good that you could give was possible, and without possibility of failure, what would you do? That's the glory of the sun. It's that glorious power within us that wants to just shine brightly and spread that light within us. And the way it feels is that feeling of confidence. The confidence you have, as I said, what if you knew that failure was impossible? How much confidence would that give you to just give the highest? Instead, what happens is we're not sure if that glorious power within us can manifest. We're not sure that we can have what we want. So what do? We stop. We don't even try. We don't even try to give all we can give. Instead, because we lack confidence, we say, oh, well, okay, I can't do that. So, well, maybe I can do this, this sort of portion of it, so I'll try that, and that didn't work either, and then we shut down, and we don't even try to express the glory and power in our heart. And then we look for external reasons to say, oh, it's because of this, it's because of the government, or because I'm gonna say some things, don't let them offend you, but it's because I'm a woman, or it's because of my race, or my gender, or my background, my childhood, my father, my this, the culture, you name it. By the way, I'm not saying those things aren't valid. There's cultural oppression everywhere based on race, gender, background, upbringing, income. But yet, there are also people who, in spite of all of that, push through it and do amazing things. This isn't to make anybody feel bad because they're not. These are just examples. Regardless of what we tell ourselves, inside there's still the glory of the sun shining brilliantly. Because, again, this isn't to make excuses, or this isn't to make anyone feel bad. This is to say that these are the reasons we tell ourselves that our sun can't shine brightly. And the frustration that we all experience around what we're not able to manifest is the frustration of the sun. Because that's the part of us that's feeling frustrated. Because regardless of what's happened to us, and there are some people who say it's because I'm a man as well, because men have to shoulder the burden, that's why I can't be a ballet dancer, or whatever it is. We all have our thing that's stopping us from shining full, expressing full power. That process is the sun. The sun is the fully empowered being within that knows no boundaries, that doesn't get, I can't do it, that doesn't understand, this limitation. It's full empowered, fully light, full on alive. And it's what's called the Paramatman, or the Supreme Self in yoga in Eastern teachings. And I'm talking so much about that because that's the sign of Leo. The sun empowers the sign of Leo, and right now the sun is in Leo. So we're really testing our power right now. We all want to feel empowered. And wherever we are on that scale of power and the confidence we lack to actually live full on, we're experiencing now, and we've been experiencing it for a couple weeks because the sun has been in Leo for about 12, 13, 14 days right now. It's right in the middle of Leo. So these are big issues. And the balancing point, the harmonizing point of Leo is Aquarius, which is where we're having the full moon. So we have the full moon in Aquarius, which is to balance and harmonize the Leo energy, which, again, when we feel oppressed from outside, then we can tend to be kind of like a dictator and can tend to be kind of like a tyrant, and look outside for the excuse, look outside for the reason why we're not shining full on. But here's the thing. That whole kind of thing is really just a form of narcissism. And this can be a lot of the problem with the sun, is the king who is sitting on the throne and he's not embodied and embodying his own power will continue to try to take from the kingdom and pull energy toward himself. This is the lower sun quality, is to seek glory from the outside. And this can take the form of even like invading other kingdoms and telling other people what they should do and things like that. The full-on glory of the sun is just generous and just giving and not considering not considering our own failure. Because what I started to say was, if you knew failure was impossible, what would you do? The reason we let failure, or the possibility of failure, to the reason that holds us back is because of this fear of embarrassment, this fear of giving up our hopes and dreams, because we've all tried things before with enthusiasm and they failed, and we have this aversion to even trying anymore. We shut down. And again, this is just another form of narcissism. Breaking out of that and dedicating ourselves to something higher is the Aquarius principle. What I mean to say is that the harmonizing point of Leo is Aquarius, because Aquarius is about doing things for the greater good, not about doing things because of our own glory and our own success and our own appearance and our own benefit even. The good king gives to the kingdom not because he gets the great benefit from it, but because that's the right thing to do, because that's the highest good, because he knows he's all powerful, because he's established in that which is the imperishable truth, the imperishable glory of the sun within, which is the supreme self, the Paramatman, the highest good that radiates out from us. So again, this is the origin of the sun. The origin of life within you and within everything is the generosity of life and the radiant self that shines within. If we knew failure was impossible, the best would come forth, not the lowest. What I mean to say is that if you knew failure was impossible, you wouldn't go to the lowest, you wouldn't sink to the lowest and say, okay, well then if failure is impossible, I'll just take as much money as I can and go sit on the beach somewhere. That's not what you would do. You would say, really? Failure is impossible? Then I'm going to give the highest. That's the nature of human beings. That's the nature of you and the nature of all of us, is to give the highest. We only settle for the lowest because of this poverty of self. So it's a very interesting dynamic with the sun, and this is the Leo Aquarius dynamic. So this is the dynamic that we're really testing now, is to live full-on empowered through the Leo cycle, and the balancing point of that is Aquarius, where we dedicate ourselves to something higher. That's the fully integrated Leo psychology, you might say. This is the nature of Leo in general, Leo is the most generous sign because it's ruled by the sun, and the sun is just pure generosity. We're alive because the sun just gives all its energy. If the sun started holding on to it, we would all die. The reason there's life on earth is because of the sun. And because the sun gives its energy so that all beings can flourish. So this is what we're working on right now. This is what we're working with this full moon. So you can really feel this in your life and feel how, the last couple weeks, it's felt it's kind of maybe felt like all about you and your level of confidence, respect, appreciation. Have you been a little bit of a dictator and a tyrant and acting out sometimes and demanding respect and appreciation? Look at that, and look and see where. How much have you been giving? Have you been unsatisfied with the respect that's come back? Look and see. How much have you given? Look and see what you tell yourself. I'm not appreciated, I'm not respected, and kind of lashing out about that. Look and see how much you're showing up and what you're dedicated to. Because here's the way out of that confidence problem. The way out of that confidence problem is to be of service to something bigger than just your own persona, your own appearance, your own reward. Because as long as it's all about the possibility that I might fail, the possibility that I might look stupid, the possibility that I might make a mistake, if that's your frame on any level, that wherever you're resonating with that, that's where you're going to stop. That's where your mission ends. When the glory of your mission is bigger than the glory of your ego, then you're truly glorious. Then you truly shine. Because then you're dedicating yourself to something that's much bigger than just your personal result. Because that's always going to be up and down. People are going to love you. People are going to hate you. People are going to say you're great. People are going to say you're terrible. Who cares? If the glory of your mission and what's filling your heart is so resonant and so beyond your own benefit, which is the Aquarius principle, then that heart of love and dignity and beauty will take you through the ups and downs. And again, this is the nature of the sun. The sun is that consistent power that takes action because of all the goodness that can come forth. The sun is in Leo, which is a sattvic sign. The sun is the consistent force of life that keeps everything alive. It's been in Leo, so that consistent power that brings dignity and beauty to life, which is your essence as the supreme self, which is who you really are, that supreme self gets frustrated by the ups and downs of the world, the occlusion of the ego saying, yeah, but I can only have this much, but I'm only this powerful, but I am, but I. When it's all about that, then you're only going to accomplish as much as you have in the realm of confidence. Confidence is a worldly thing. Confidence is how the ego experiences the sun. Confidence, appreciation, respect, all of these things, this is the ego, this is the language of the ego filtering the sun. But the sun, the true sun, doesn't get all that. True sun doesn't care about all that. The true sun within is just love and giving. All the power I have in form, I can just give because I'm not form. I'm the eternal being. And the eternal being isn't worried that there's not going to be enough. The eternal being understands that it's infinite. Like my Guru Amma says, the sun doesn't need the light of a candle to shine. We walk around like, here's my light, I'm a little candle, and, don't blow out my candle, and trying to make this little candle illuminate the whole universe within us. It's not possible. As long as you're like saying, I'm the candle, then that's all you're going to get. Then you're going to be afraid of every idea, every kind of, wind blowing out your candle, or somebody throwing dirt on your candle, or someone throwing water on your candle, extinguishing your light. But when you're connected with a higher truth, you connect to something higher within you. This is why we need to dedicate ourselves to something higher, and this is why these great gurus talk about service, and this is why we study things like yoga and these great systems that that elevate our mind beyond just me. As long as it's all about that, then that's all about you. That's what you're going to be all about. So this is the big stuff. This is the big Sun Leo stuff. And so in the Leo Aquarius paradigm, Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, which is about noticing our shortcomings and noticing where where we sense the limitation. But in Aquarius, it brings this great humility and this great appreciation for time and culture and history unfolding in much bigger ways than just our own limited life here on Earth. So when we bring in the Leo Aquarius paradigm, we have the individual self, the individual, let's say your persona in this lifetime, measured against the enormity of time and all that has come before, and you realize, wow, it's not all about me. And we are able to, and we sense and we notice that we need to dedicate ourselves to something bigger and more eternal, and in fact social. What happens with these great beings once they become fully enlightened, they either leave this plane and become like an avadut, which is an enlightened being who doesn't really want to give, or if they stick around and they want to actually help, all they can do is serve. They just become great servants of humanity, which is what Aquarius is about. And so this is a great opportunity for you to really reflect upon what you're dedicated to. This full moon in Aquarius, Aquarius is the sign of social change, social justice, larger themes like that manifest in the world, such as politics and history and the arts, and just service to humanity. It's not just because doing good for humanity is a good thing to do, but it's because of what I just described. When you connect to something higher than yourself, then you have to step into something higher than your ego. This is why all great beings tell us to serve, not just because it's a good thing to do, because I get good karma when I do it. Again, that's just a very selfish motivation. That's a result, that's a byproduct, but that's not the reason. The reason is because these great beings know that if you start serving something higher than just your own likes and dislikes, your own results, your own ego, then you have to step into something higher. Then you're going to elevate and eventually dedicate yourself to something bigger than just your own results. So this is big stuff. Now, this moon is in Shatabishak Nakshatra, which is ruled by Rahu, and it's actually it's where the poison of the mind becomes a great elixir, like the elixir of immortality. Shatabishak literally means 100 physicians, 100 doctors, and even like 100 medicines. And so it has a lot to do with metaphysical healing and things like astrology and Ayurveda and energetic medicine and Reiki and all that stuff. And so having the sun in Leo and the moon full in Shatabishak means we can be very full and very aware of this potential and this feeling for our fellow man, and allow that to elevate our sense of contribution towards something bigger than just our own sense of accomplishment and personal gain. Just keep in mind the parable of the good king who wants to give so that the kingdom flourishes, and the dignity in that, and the tolerance. The son is like the divine parent, like the divine father who sacrifices for the mission, for the family, so that something bigger than himself maintains into perpetuity. This is the mature and fully integrated Leo paradigm, integrating the shadow of Aquarius. So you can really look at that opposite sign as the kind of shadow of the original sign. So the shadow of Leo is very much Aquarius stuff. Aquarius is where we feel humble and humbled, and our identity gets watered down. Well, that needs to be integrated in the Leo paradigm. Instead of the fear of our own personal strength being watered down by the collective. We need to understand that it's, in fact, the collective consciousness that establishes the Leo in its full glory, because then we're not defined by this limited, localized power that comes through, again, seeing yourself as the little candle rather than the glorious sun. As long as we're thinking we're the little candle and we're afraid that there might be a brighter candle somewhere else, which is the fear of Aquarius. That's the Aquarius fear. That, well, if I take my candle in the midst of every other candle, who's going to notice mine? This is the fear of Leo stepping into the Aquarian paradigm. But this is seeing it the wrong way. This is identifying with being the candle rather than identifying with being the sun. When we remember that we're the sun, then we remember we're the origin of the candle, because all the fire comes from the sun. The sun is Surya Dev. All fire on earth comes from the sun. That's the original fire. And that includes electricity. Everything that's illuminated, light comes from the sun. The candle is just a little piece of the sun. Big stuff. These Vedic sciences are immense. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about in my certification course, by the way. And these sacred elements, these divine elements. So, this full moon in Aquarius is a time to really transform that poison of the mind into the great elixir of immortality. The deity is called Varuna, who is related to the celestial rain that comes down from heaven and heals our mind. Shatabishak literally means, like I said, 100 physicians, 100 doctors, and 100 medicines, you might say. So it's related to energetic healing. So this is a great time for you to really connect with sacred divine healing. That includes things like astrology and study of astrology. I said earlier this year when Jupiter moved into Taurus, it's a great time to really study these sacred practices and bring them into your life in a tangible way. A couple other things that are happening in this full moon and things that are going on right now is Venus is right at the edge of Gemini. So it really brings a lot of a sort of culmination of some, a lot of relationship adjustments that we've been making the last few weeks. The other thing that's really, really good is Mercury has now moved out of Cancer. I'm recording this on early Wednesday morning, Wednesday, August 29th. Mercury has been in Cancer since June 21st. So this entire summer, so far, the summer of 2012, Mercury has been in Cancer, which is difficult communication, to say the least, kind of confused discrimination. So if you feel like you've been in kind of like a 2-month haze around trying to like untangle your mind a little bit, this is why, especially people who are ruled by Mercury, that includes people who are like Geminis and Virgos. Like if you have a lot of planets in Gemini or Virgo, especially the ascendant or the moon, notice your mind has been kind of confusing times. So Mercury is now also in Leo, so there's a lot more fiery intelligence right now as of Wednesday, August 29th. We have Mercury in Leo now, which is nice. It's much more fiery, much more clear discrimination now. And we have Saturn, Mars in Libra, which, we have exalted Saturn, and we have the Sun in its own sign. So these two planets of commitment and seriousness and accomplishment, which is Saturn and the Sun, are both powerful. The Sun in its own sign and Saturn exalted. So the two rulers of this eclipse, of this full moon, are both in great dignity. The ruler of the moon, which is Saturn, is exalted, and the ruler of the sun, of course, is the sun itself. The sun is in its own sign. The king is on the throne. That's why I said when I started, the king is on the throne saying, where's the power? Do I really feel powerful? Where's my power coming from? Do I have the power, or am I looking to be empowered by others? Am I a tyrant? Am I respected? Where am I looking for respect? Does my respect emanate from within as the glorious king I am? Or am I really like a beggar? Am I really like a beggar on the throne, begging for approval, looking for it from outside sources? Am I really am I really the son on the throne, or am I just an imposter sitting on the throne with my little candle, hoping other kings aren't powerful? And see, when we do this, then we just take the little bit of power we have and kind of use it to get some kind of approval. When we're doing this stuff, this is, again, the ego recognizes the sun in this wavering confidence, up and down. And we can win sometimes. We can push our confidence. We have power over others, and we can bully them into our way sometimes, or spin attention our direction to get a little ego hit once in a while. We can do that. But it's short-lived. And measured against the glory of who we really are, it just makes us feel even more impoverished. And we feel this now because the sun is in Leo. This is how the astrology works. Different times we don't feel it as much. But when the sun is in Leo, we're going to feel it. We're going to notice it. We're going to say, I'm just playing a little ego game. Okay, maybe I spun a little bit of attention myself and I stamped my foot and demanded respect. But that just feels even more tragic. It's a tragedy for our soul to be a little candle. We're not a candle. We're the glorious Paramatman. We're the glorious sun. So be the glorious sun right now. And the way to really be the glorious sun within and to shine brilliantly is to commit and dedicate yourself to something big. The biggest you can imagine. Like I said, what if failure wasn't an option? And what if that's not just a logical conclusion? What if that's just your frame? What if you just act as if that's the truth anyway? What if you just... Because you know what? In fact, when you're fully empowered, you're not even considering this. Okay, I might fail. I might not fail. I might look foolish. I might look stupid. The only reason you act anything other than full on is because this ego game is happening with you. You should be acting as if failure is not an option anyway. Who cares if you fail? When you're dedicated to the highest good, it's not even a consideration. Does the Father prevent himself from acting in full glory in full dedication to his family or to the highest cause, the highest, most beautiful thing in his heart? He doesn't say, but what if I look stupid while I'm trying to feed my family or whatever? He just acts in accordance with the highest good. And that's what we're meant to do. And right now is the time that we really need to be doing it. And if we're not, we're noticing where our true empowered self is relative to the sun, which is the pure, blazing, glorious Paramatman within. You can tell I love talking about this stuff. This is really astrology to me. This is why you study astrology. This is why, because you connect with the truly divine forces of life. It's not about, is this person a good relationship partner, blah, blah. All that's part of it. But what's really important is feeling that empowered being within you. Every time the planets move somewhere, there's another nuance to your glorious self. Every one of the planets are full-on sources of wisdom and beauty and love and intelligence. So I talked a lot about this sun today because the sun is in Leo and it's very empowered. And right now we're in the phase of the sun. So look at where your power comes from and connect it to the highest good in you. Anything short of that is not going to be satisfactory. And that's always the case. It's just we feel it more when the sun becomes in Leo. When these planets move into good dignity, that's when we really feel the difference between what it actually is and what we're actually expressing through the ego. Happy full moon. And for those who are my gold members, I'm going to talk about what this full moon means for your sign as we're in this Leo cycle, and you can hear your forecast and also get a 2-week trial membership for only 1 penny. So if you want to hear how this affects your sign, just join the member site for 2 weeks for 1 penny.